All mixed people are gorgeous. I have to drop the false humility. I love hearing nice things about myself, even if they aren't entirely true. If you're also mixed, you might have heard things like, "You're so lucky because you had a multicultural upbringing. Mixed people have the good genes. You've got the best of both worlds." These sound great, and just hearing them casually thrown out in conversation can be nice, but ultimately, they're not full representations of who you are. Let's talk about the negatives of positive stereotypes. What are positive stereotypes? In brief, they're characterizations of a community or group of people that at first sounds like a good thing, but are actually shallow, limited reflections of the truth. For example, Asians are smart. Black people are athletic. Both sound good, right? But we call these positive stereotypes for a reason, because a stereotype, though it might be rooted in some truth or reality, ultimately strips you down into something that's much easier to put into a box. At first glance, a positive stereotype seems different than a negative one, but they can do the same thing. And positive stereotypes can be sometimes harder to address, because you can just say, "What's wrong with what I said? It's a compliment." And the negative outcomes that might result from believing a positive stereotype might be simply dismissed. The thing is, I also know that we all use stereotypes to help us navigate a complex world. It would be nice to see every single individual person 100% as they are in every single circumstance, but we know that's not possible. Or we use stereotypes to have a good laugh in comedy because we all know that the stereotype is partly true and we can poke fun at it together. It's when we blindly accept stereotypes as absolutes that we're led to some pretty nasty conclusions. First, a positive stereotype denies a person's individuality. So, my fiance, Cedric, is Korean and African American. He's tall and super fit. So let's say you believe that Black men are strong and good at sports. These are positive characteristics. So you meet Cedric and he's lifting heavy weights at the gym. Well, he's heard this many times before. 그러니까 흑인이라서. Or a friend of mine who has an Italian father, she's super fun and easygoing at a party, and people will say, 역시, 아빠는 이탈리안 분이시잖아요. But Cedric works out daily, and he's dedicated a lot of his time to building his physical fitness. It's not just because he's partly Black. And it's not because my friend's father is Italian that her personality is like that. That's just her. If we rely on positive stereotypes to explain something we like about a person, it denies their own hard work or their own individuality. If you think someone is X, Y, and Z, then treating them accordingly is justified. So says those who believe stereotypes to be true. For example, Asian women are so exotic and beautiful. Therefore, staring at them and wanting to date them all isn't creepy. It's admiration. Should I take it a step further? Asian women are submissive, docile, and inherently hypersexual. I mean, just look at all those cases of prostitution in Asia. Therefore, objectifying them is only natural. Have you heard this kind of comment before? Asian chicks don't age, and they're all smart and slim and pretty. It's not my fault that I like Asian girls because they're the ones who are like that. To paraphrase, he's saying since X, Y, and Z, these positive stereotypes are irrefutably true, I can treat Asian women accordingly, and I shouldn't be blamed for any negative outcomes. It's not my fault Asian women are that way. Stereotypes are hard to shake off, and if we don't recognize a stereotype for what it is, we might think our rationalizations for certain actions are justified. After the Korean War, there was the stereotype that Korean women were too poor, too loose to take care of their children born from relationships with GI soldiers. Therefore, removing the children from these kinds of homes was better for them. Forget about what the more complicated truth might have been. If someone is X, Y, and Z, then treating them accordingly is justified. Okay, this is getting kind of heavy, so quick break. Did you know we have a newsletter that goes out every week? It's basically where we share all of our updates in one place, so in case you missed a notification or want to know when we're going to live stream next, you can subscribe to the newsletter at thehalfieproject.com. Did I mention we have a website? We do. We have a lot there, including my personal blog, so head over whenever you have a chance. Okay, let's get back to it. You don't need to look far from the history of the first mixed Koreans to see that Korean adoptees deal with positive stereotypes on a regular basis. As an important note, I'm not adopted, nor do I claim that I speak for everyone, so this might not relate to you. But it's not uncommon to hear these kinds of comments when we do talk about Korean adoptees. You're the lucky one, because you didn't have to grow up poor or suffering in a single-parent home in a country where they don't like single mothers, etc. The underlying statement here is, don't talk about the negative things. You should be thankful because you were lucky to have been adopted. Maybe it's rooted in reality for that individual, maybe it's not. But this kind of response shuts down the greater conversation that I personally believe is extremely valuable and important to be had. That the positive stereotypes those who were involved in the formation of the adoption industry have spun shouldn't all be taken as absolutely true. If you went through a traumatic experience as a Korean adoptee, but the whole world believes you're the lucky one, I imagine it could be hard to speak up. The other thing about positive stereotypes is that they limit a community's value into whatever that stereotype is. Model minority. This might be a more American-centric issue, but there's this concept that all Asians are hardworking, smart, good at math, they keep their heads down. Asian moms push their Asian children to be musical geniuses, and nerdy, effeminate Asian men are doctors, or if you're lucky, a kung fu master. The model minority myth promotes the idea that Asians are all of these good things, and because they're all of these good things, they've succeeded. Wait, let me finish that sentence. They've succeeded over other minority groups. The underlying meaning? Other minority groups in America, why can't you be more like the Asians? If you were hardworking, smart, and kept your head down, you wouldn't have so much trouble now, would you? Or celebrating African Americans for incredible contributions to music and pop culture. But Black American politicians? Or CEOs? Maybe it's not your forte, but you guys are the best at rapping, you've got that. That's a good thing. I'll be the first to say that whatever magical arithmetic skills all Asians carry in their DNA, 3 words. I passed statistics. Twice. In Cedric's rapping?
Try to battle me, but they fake, yo. They changing the beat on me, but I keep going.
Damn.
I keep flowing, yo, and I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. It can get tricky when we talk about positive stereotypes, especially because they can be so easy to believe. If they're not bad, why would you push back on them? At first glance, they're much nicer than negative stereotypes. But ultimately, they can do the same thing, strip us down into oversimplified and incomplete characterizations, even caricatures of who we really are. And if you take that at face value, you're doing nothing more than forcing someone into a box of your own or society's making. We talk in more detail about the positive stereotype, "You're so lucky to be half Korean," in another video, so head over there and watch that one next.